Your task will not be an easy one. Your enemy is well-trained, well-equipped, and battle-hardened. He will fight savages.
So you want to zero your new ACOG and true it in properly. Well, I just had this ACOG Cerakoted OD Green, and I'm going to show you how I true it in at 300 yards with minimal ammo, so let's go. A lot of people zero at 25, 36, 50, or even 100 yards and call it a day. We know that if we acquire our point of aim and our impact is slightly off of center even after we zero, this off-center impact will become magnified off-center even further at longer distances. If your shot is off to the right only an inch up close, it would be even further off, up to 3 inches to the right downrange. This may not seem like a problem until you're really counting on an impact and end up with a miss because you're slightly off center. If you only had time to aim on the right edge of a target at 300 and your shot is off 3 inches to the right, it would result in a miss. This is a no-go for me personally. I like knowing my point of aim and point of impact have been trued in out to at least 300 yards or meters. The truing process is where you fine-tune your impacts back onto your center point of aim with a further target downrange at your zero's second intersection point to increase hit probability. The more precise it is at 300 meters, the more precise it will be back at 25 meters. To start, just mount your ACOG on the rifle where you like the proper eye relief. Although Trijicon says hand tight will do the job, I give it a little extra crank down because I've had them come loose before. I set a steel target at roughly 25 meters to get it on target up close in case it's way off. The ACOG I'm using is the TA31CH-G, which has a green crosshair reticle with etched subtension lines for my 100 meter to 600 meter impacts using 62 grain M855 green tip rounds. These ACOGs are known to bloom in bright sunlight, which is where the fiber optic brings in so much light it causes the reticle to glow so bright that it covers your target, which restricts your point of aim. Here I simply use the military tape trick to cover the fiber optic so that I have a thin black reticle that allows me to have a precise point of aim over my targets, especially when we true it in at 300 yards. Zeroing and truing will not be as precise with this glowing reticle, so just tape it off during this process, trust me. I spray 2 duplexes for my point of aim with high contrasting colors and begin my first shot group at 25 yards using the 300 meter subtension line as my point of aim. Why the 300 meter subtension line at 25? Well, if we hyperimpose this reticle on each distance, it compensates for bullet drop, and we can follow the projectile as it exits the muzzle and climbs in elevation to the max ordinate at 100 meters, before it descends down in elevation out to 200 meters and impacts right where our BDC reticle predicted it would here on a 200 meter target. After this, you can guess it descends even more due to air pressure slowing it down and impacts even lower where our 300 meter subtension predicts it would impact. If we used our 100 meter subtension point of aim on a target at 300 meters, our impact would hit low here where the 300 meter line is on our reticle. To true in this ACOG, we will use this 300 meter subtension line on a target at 300 yards to calibrate our point of aim and point of impact at this further distance. Now if we rewind back and add 2 more hyperimposed reticles at 25 and 50 meters, we can follow the projectile once again and see that after it leaves the muzzle traveling upward, it also impacts on our 25 meter target here where our 300 meter subtension line is. As it travels up towards the max ordinate, it then impacts again on a 50 meter target where our 200 meter subtension line is here. This is why we can use our 300 meter subtension to zero this reticle on a 25 meter target. This also explains why our 300 meter subtension line is the same as a 25 300 meter zero with a red dot, and your 200 meter subtension is the same as a 5200 meter zero with a similar height over bore as the ACOG. Usually we would zero on a 100 meter target using our top 100 meter subtension, but if your optic is way off from the factory, we would waste a lot of time and ammo getting it on target. Now that some brief science was covered, we can use our 300 meter subtension line to get our shots on target. Well, after this first shot, I realized my optic was loose in the TA51 mount it came with. The Cerakote company I used had separated the mount from the optic, and thankfully I noticed this after the first shot. Just take it back off before you waste any ammo like I just did, and tighten the mount down to the optic, and let's get these impacts back on target. I start by shooting dead center, and if I don't see or hear an impact, I know I'm off target. After this, a little trick I use if I don't know where my shots are hitting in the grass is to aim on the left edge, shooting at the same elevation. If my shot happens to be to the right of my reticle's point of aim, we will see it hit somewhere in this area to the right. I took my shot and didn't hear anything, so this time I will shift my aim to the far right edge. Same elevation, and if my shot is to the left, we will see it hit somewhere here to the left. My impact did hit the left edge, and I only used 3 rounds to get on target. I'm going to shoot one more shot holding slightly off of target on the right edge because I couldn't tell exactly where this first impact hit since I clipped the left edge. Now I can clearly see where my impact is since I held a bit further off of the right edge. Elevation still looks good for now, so let's find out how far we need to adjust. This still silhouette is 12 inches across, so if I want to zero this reticle to converge my point of aim and point of impact together, I need to come 11 inches to the right. This particular ACOG has 1/2 MOA turret adjustments at 100 yards. This means my model will move my impacts 1/2 of an inch at 100 yards each click. At 50 yards, this would be roughly 1/4 of an inch each click, and here at 27 yards or 25 meters, it would be roughly 1/8 of an inch each click. To come 11 inches to the right, we would need to adjust our turrets 88 clicks. That's a lot, so let's start with around half with 40 clicks. For beginners who don't know, when you adjust your turret, you're moving your reticle internally. The turret usually instructs which way you want your impacts to move. We want the impact to come right, so we rotate the turret how it instructs us to bring our impacts to the right. Most people think magically we are somehow moving our actual impact manually, but in reality, inside the optic, the reticle is actually being moved to the left, so that next time we take aim, we are essentially dragging our new impact to the right with us. Now that I rotated the turret 40 clicks right, which internally moved my reticle to the left, I'm going to aim dead center since I only adjusted half the distance, and I should still be on target.
Alright, let me try it one more time.
Alright. Taking my next shot, we can see that I hit left edge again since I only adjusted half the distance and aimed center mass. Elevation still looks good, we just need to finish out the adjustments. Coming another 44 clicks to the right, I'm going to shoot a 3-round group aiming center mass.
Here we go.
Alright, I'm still recording.
This first shot tells me I'm not quite center, so I'm going to adjust another 4 clicks right and down 4 before I finish off the last 3 shots.
Ready?
Yep. Ready?
Yep. One more.
Alright.
The rest of these impacts were decently centered, although a hair low, which is okay. Now we can go out and shoot at our 300-yard target to true this reticle in. I'm again using the same 300-meter subtension line as my point of aim, this time at a 300-yard target. Out here I'm going to shoot at the lower duplex I made near the stomach in case the shots are high. Since yards and meters are not the same length, my shot will end up being a bit high at 300 yards. This is because the bullet will have not traveled quite down to its 300-meter subtension point. Using a meter reticle on a yardage range will impact slightly high using the 300-meter subtension. If you want the correct reticle for yardage range subtensions out of a 16-inch barrel, you might want to buy the TA31F model Trijicon made for the civilian market. 5.56 has a pretty flat trajectory, so this difference in drop won't be too extreme inside of 400 yards between the two. The meter reticle ACOGs are the most popular, so this is the situation most of us will be in.
Alright, there's 3 shots. Let's see where they hit.
You can see they did end up a bit high, and if we triangulate my sloppy, fast-paced group, you can see our imaginary center point that we're going to adjust from. Now you see that at our second intersection point, we can fine-tune our zero impact to a more exact center point. I need to come 2 inches left and roughly 2 inches down. At 300 yards, these half MOA adjustments on the ACOG become 1.5 MOA, or 1.5 inch adjustments out this far. I'll adjust 2 clicks to the left and try 3 clicks down. Now I just paint over my previous hits so I can see my new adjusted impacts and shoot another 3-round group, this time on my chest duplex in case they're low from my adjustments.
One more for good luck.
All right.
Driving out and inspecting my impacts, it looks like they're just a hair low. Here I'll adjust 1 click right and 1 click up. This should bring me right 1.5 inches and 1.5 inches up, and I'm done truing in this ACOG. I also want to mention to all the people who think mil-spec Armalite rifle barrels are not precise. You can see here this 6 by 2.5 inch dollar bill next to my group that they are precise. I promise I wasn't trying super hard, and you saw how fast I shot this group. The short side of this dollar bill is 2.5 inches, so this group is right barely under 3 inches. That's a sub-MOA group. With only a 4-power optic, I can't even guarantee that I was aiming perfectly center each time. If anyone's tried shooting sub-MOA, they know the further out past 100 yards you do this, the harder it is. This is just an M4 carbine-marked Colt with a keyhole-marked upper. The barrel is a government profile 16-inch chrome line, cold hammer forged with a 1-in-7 twist. I didn't even let the barrel cool down between shots, and if I had a legit bench rest, this thing might even shoot tighter groups. I also used the M855 green tip ammunition that everyone says has terrible precision, but here's the results. I see a lot of people repeating what others say without testing it out for themselves. I have multiple Colt and Daniel Defense barrels that can shoot 1 MOA groups with these M855 rounds. I can't say why your setup doesn't do this, but I can record and show you that mine does, as evidence to debunk the gossip I hear repeated online. Don't believe everything you hear. You should always go out and test it for yourself. Chrome-lined barrels and M855 from respectable manufacturers are accurate. Just stick to quality companies and prove upon your own personal shooting fundamentals, and these myths will seem to disappear. If you want to know more in-depth techniques using the ACOG, let me know. This video is just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to this optic and its variations. I have almost every reticle they make, and I just happen to like the crosshair reticle the best personally. This is one of my favorite optics of all time, even though they seem to create a lot of questions and confusion. If you'd like to know how yards versus meters or reticle types and barrel lengths work with different ACOG models, I have in-depth animations that cover these specific questions a lot better. Also be sure to check out my low ammo handbook video companion I made for beginners that want to get familiar with their weapons and gear using a low ammo count. With ammo shortages and high costs, we have to make each round count. If you're a seasoned vet to the gun community, you won't need this, but for those of you who are trying to play catch-up, this will fast-track you through the beginning stages at a low cost of money and ammo. This is not a substitute for professional training, but it does help build muscle memory basics in the meantime, until you can eventually attend a professional training course. Be sure to check out my Instagram for other short video posts you might like as well that won't make it onto the YouTube channel. Thanks again for watching, and I appreciate all the positive comments on my last AccuPoint video.